I'm gonna use the slash and spread to open up and add volume. So to do that, I need to cut in specific areas. If this one is not sure. I'm gonna cut once in the middle, and then I'm gonna cut 2 more times, a quarter of a way each side. So halfway here, halfway here. Let's see what that comes out to be. It's approximately 6.5, so 3 and 3 1/4. 3 1/4. 3 1/4. And just square all the way up. And it depends on how much volume you want to add. If you want it to be very, very voluminous, then you would probably want to add more slits, more slashes. But I'm only opening it up a little bit, so I don't need to cut too much into it. So now it's all that's left to do is cut and spread. I'm gonna keep these points intact. I'm not gonna cut all the way through so that I can pivot and keep the shape of the armhole. But let's use this as a working pattern. So cut it out entirely, and then tape it on or trace it onto a new piece. My new piece of paper, and I'm gonna cut all the way until I get really close to the armhole, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of space here. So I'm not cutting it all the way through. Okay. Now I'm going to tape it or pick one, tape it down first so that when you open it up, it's not moving too much. So I'm going to take this one down. And then I'm only spreading it a little bit. If you wanted a specific width that you're working with, you can calculate how much you want to add into each. And there's a thing that you can calculate, which is the ratio of the gather, where if you have a shearing ratio or a gather ratio of say like 2 to 1, the 2 will be how the widest part, the 1 would be the narrowest part. So it's 2 things of that one thing. That makes sense?
So you're doubling?
Doubling.
Sorry, truthful answer.
I'm gonna do a demo on sewing gathers.
Okay.
I'll explain it then.
Sounds
But
good.
for now, we just want to get understand the idea of spreading it and opening it up.
Yes.
But you could calculate however wide you want it to be. It's a little bit more complex, but I'm only gonna increase it like 1 inch each section, and that opens up a total of 3 inches for me. In total, 13, it was 12 3/4, so that becomes 15 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've done math since high school. Okay, so I'm just gonna mark the 1 inch and tape. Using this pivot point here, keep that in place. Line it up where you marked and tape down. place. Same thing here. Mark 1. Hold this down, pivot. Mark and pivot. So that's it. That's all the manipulating and the pivoting that you have to do. After you do this point, you just need to add your seam allowances, all of your proper markings, and you're good to go. Down here, because we're gonna add a cuff, we don't need to do that 1 inch plus a half of an inch hem allowance that we did for the set in. We're just gonna give it a 1/2 inch seam allowance, because it's gonna be joined to the cuff seam.
Oh, so do you want curve?
You can use your
So like when you
French curve.
Like it's supposed to, but the bottom is supposed to be slightly curved. Yes.
It's gonna naturally curve, but
Okay. And you
I
don't want to
didn't-
like make it straight down, do you?
like straight across like this. No,
Okay,
it's gonna
that's
naturally curve. So just follow the
natural curve.
the height of what you've cut, and the bigger it is, it's gonna have a more like prominent curve.
Got it,
This-
okay.
This spreading was not too much.
Yes.
It's not too curvy, so I'm just gonna use my straight ruler.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Is that because it's gonna be put into a circular wrist band? And it can't stay curved?
I'm assuming it has to do something with like your shoulder is higher, big up, longer here
Well-
than here. That was my guess.
Oh, are you
That's a
talking about
good
the
guess.
curve because
Like the
of
curvature of the bottom, like why? Because the other the straight seamed one is like flat at the bottom. So why do we get to leave this one like on a curve?
This one is on the curve because we're following the length of the existing pattern, and you don't want to stray too far from that. But I think I know your question about the bishop sleeve here is curvy.
Yeah.
So that's because this back side here has more volume on the back, so that it kind of has a look like this. So the bottom curves down here. And this one is a little bit more elevated. So I actually think they cut higher up here instead of adding down here. But that's just so that you can have like a specific look to your volume. Of your
Someday it will be.
bishop sleeve. Bishop sleeve. But I mean, you don't need to worry about any
Okay.
curves here. Like we will just kind of follow the length of the pattern itself, adding that 1/2 inch down here. If you wanted to design a style where your volume is what is it called? It's called hiking in the front and dipping in the back, like a high-low. If you wanted that specific style, you can add the curve so that when you look at it from the front, it has you can see more of that circle shape of the armhole. But I don't think I want to talk about that. I think we should be
You're straying very far away.
yeah. But just follow this shape. Just follow this shape and add the seam allowance here. Add your seam allowance all around. And make sure your notches are transferred over. The notches that you need to add are just the elbow armhole ones. You have 2 up here and you have 2 down here. I'm not going to draw all of the seam allowance. And that is the sleeve. So now we're going to add
Sorry, 1/2 inch.
on the bottom opening. Yeah. Now there's a few more things that we need to do because we are going to add a slit and a cuff. So from this pattern, I guess we're not quite done with this pattern yet. We have our center line, and I'm just going to draw the center line as the midpoint of that extension, that increase that I did. On the back side, we're going to add our slit to the back. The reason the slit goes on the back is so that it's not in the front, it's not visible. It's more functional so that you can slip your hands through but you don't really need it to be visible. Actually, I got my example of how a slit looks like. You guys can pass it out. This is how the slit, it's on the back side. So you look at it, if you open it up, the slit is always gonna be on the back side. So taking our pattern, looking at finding the midpoint of it on the back side with the double notches, measure out the midpoint. And for me, that is about 4 inches, right here. And then our,
Midpoint not including seam allowance?
no, not the seam allowance. So from
From there to the
this
edge of.
point to the
Okay.
edge of my
That one,
pattern
okay.
here, that's approximately 8 inches.
Okay, sounds good.
So the midpoint of that is here. My slit height is going to be, I believe it was 2.5 is pretty standard. For a slit, yep, 2.5. So from the stitch line, not the seam allowance, I'm gonna measure up 2.5. A very small slit. And to label or to draw out your slit, you basically just do a T at the tip. So draw your line and do a little T here. So that's how you know that's a slit. That's to measure. And then, let's see. Yes, that's it. That's the slit height. And I think we can then move on to the cuff. The cuff is going to be a little bit more confusing, but any questions on this? Slit is backside 2.5 inches tall from the stitch line. We're going to move on to the cuff. And for the cuff, we don't need to follow any patterns or any blocks. We could just take what our measurements are indicated here, and we could just measure it out here. It's a rectangle. So I'm going to start with drawing out a straight line. And I'm going to measure the width. My finished width was going to be 8 inches, I believe.
Doesn't say up there.
It doesn't say on the sketch, but it says it on
Oh, it is 8 inches, the top opening, yeah.
the 8 inches. So I'm going to draw a square, measure out 8 inches, and that's my final finished length. But I want to add an overlap. So this right here is an overlap that's gonna allow for us to have a button closure. That's gonna be 1/2 inch. So from that finish, from the, oh my gosh, 8 inch, I'm gonna mark 1/2 inch and square that up, these two lines up. Now my cuff height is 2 inches. That's gonna actually be my fold line, but I'm gonna mark it so that I can do my other side. And my other side is gonna be the exact same. I'm just gonna square out, because it's gonna be folded, 2 layers of it. You have your extension here, and then you have your fold line here. All that's left to do is do the seam allowance, and the seam allowance is just gonna be 1/2 inch all around. Half inch all around. Now you need this overlap to be a notch. So make sure you extend these two to be a notch. You want your fold lines to be a notch right here. So 2 notches here, 2 notches here. Last thing you want to do is to mark your button and buttonhole. So the side with the extension is going to be on the inseam side, which is where the button is going to be. So the button, we mark it with an X, and then the buttonhole is going to be a little, I don't know, what's that called? T?
An I
An I? But this is the shape of it.
or an H.
An H.
I don't know.
A long H. So the button, we're just gonna do one button, and it's gonna be directly in the middle of our cuff. We don't need to do it on both sides because it's gonna be folded over, but I'm gonna do it on one side, mark the halfway point, which is 1 inch, 1 inch. Mark my button right at where this overlap line is. So that's my X, and that's the button. Use pencil so that it's not so messy like this, but I'm just doing this so you guys can see. And then here, we're gonna do our button opening, buttonhole. Buttonhole, and to draw the buttonhole marking is a little bit different. So I'm gonna mark where my buttonhole is probably going to open up from. Like when I overlap it, it's gonna probably open up right here, about halfway in. To mark it, you don't want to just draw a line. The line that it's gonna hit here, like where the button is, if you can imagine the button is gonna go through, you want it to extend 1/8 inward a little bit. See, this is really complicated, and I wish I had a visual. Oh wait, hold on. I have an example. Okay. It looks like this. It's gonna be overlaps like this, and the button is gonna naturally come and hit at this point right here, closest to the side of the edge. But when you're drawing out and cutting out your buttonhole, you want it to be a little bit bigger than what the actual button size is. So if our button size is 1/2 inch, okay, there you go. Half inch, you want a little bit of space so that you could squeeze the button through, because you don't know how tall the button is. So it could be a little bit, fatter, and it's gonna be hard to squeeze in through. So you wanna give yourself a little bit of a space here. So for a button that is 1/2 inch, we're gonna add 1 inch. Sorry, not 1 inch, 1/8. Oh my God, I can't talk right now. We're gonna add 1/8 to accommodate for the height of the button. So that means that my buttonhole opening drawing is gonna be a total of 5/8. 5/8.
You go how far out from, what was this line you drew, the dotted line?
The dotted line is the imaginary line where the button is gonna go through, like how far off of the edge I want it to come off of.
Okay.
And that is 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch from our
Okay.
extended line here.
And then you seem like you pull over the buttonhole a little bit too, that way? Like you pulled the edge of the buttonhole.
Oh, this was my line to mark the half.
Oh,
midway,
that's your way to,
midway of
midway
the,
mark, okay, sorry.
I think I'm gonna use red so you guys can see what I'm trying to draw. To bright pink. 1/2 inch for the button, and then an additional 1/8, like that. And the 1/8 is gonna go off of the edge of this line here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that line is.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be confusing. Just know that the size of the buttonhole is gonna be 1/8 bigger than the size of the button. But you do need to mark it. If you didn't mark it correctly, that's okay. But as long as you have a button and buttonhole marking on your pattern. I think that's it for the cuff. You guys have any questions on this? The cuff is gonna have an interfacing, so you will need to cut out a pattern for the interfacing. Same process of trimming it down 1/8 inch for the interfacing.
I assume you don't mark the button.
Not on the interfacing.
And do you have to do it, because I know like when we've been interfacing everything, it's been like 2 bits and only interface one side. Are you interfacing like both sides? It doesn't make much sense.
It'll just be one side. It'll be the wrong side of the cuff.
Yeah, no, I know, but like
Is it the half of the
Half,
cuff
yeah,
or
half
the
of
whole
the cuff or the whole, like both, because I know the cuff gets folded over in half, so you're just interfacing like that half, or are you interfacing like both
The whole
inside
thing.
halves?
It'll be the whole thing.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll be full interfacing.
okay.